It is same like Spider or PyCharm which we were using earlier. Nothing different. The only leverage to use Jupyter Notebook is when you are trying to actually do lot of analysis in on some data set. Assume let's only talk about Amazon sale report. Now you are doing some statistical analysis of report. You are trying to identify how one column is related. Have 10-15 columns, and you have to see the relation between all the columns together, like 1:1 ratio, like 1:1 ratio. You need to kind of check, maybe you are plotting bar graph, you're plotting pie chart, or something else, and so on. And now, if you do the same thing in Spider or PyCharm, what exactly happens is the diagrams which you kind of print, like it is very useful when you are dealing with figures or maybe visualizing things. So in PyCharm or Spider, the figure will be opened in a different small window, which you won't be able to. Uh, it is not that different, but you will feel disconnected, uncomfortable in seeing two things in two different places. Here in Jupyter Notebook, what exactly happens is whatever you do, the output is just below of that. So now you can see in line number 3 here, I just said df.head, and like I am printing 100 rows. I'm not even using print statement, but you can see the exact thing of what I want to print here. So nothing is kind of uh, yesterday you see when we have print something, again you have to like what, move your eyes towards console window and identify how it was looking like. Even if I add a print statement here, you see the output format will completely change. Okay, so you see this is the format which we were seeing earlier, because print statement will not format style of the output which you are printing. It prints only like what, raw statements or whatever you want to print in a very raw format. But when it comes to like a Jupyter notebook, and when you are not using any df.head, sorry, when you are not using any print statement, what exactly happens is it will be able to identify what you are trying to print immediately, and then it will try to format it in the same way which Excel sheet or the data which you are kind of reading from. So assume in CSV sheet you will have a header row which will be with columns. How do you identify header row? You'll always add a background color in CSV or an Excel sheet to identify header row. So here itself, Jupyter Notebook will add that background color for header row, stating that this is the column row. Okay, so when I run this right now, you can see this is the column names or maybe the column row, and remaining data will be shown below. And you can see the formatting as well, gray and white shade to kind of signify difference between two different rows and all the other stuff. So this is kind of more comfortable IDE to only use when you are doing data analysis. Again, if you want to run the whole code at a time, and Jupyter Notebook is not a place. You have to again go like what, move back all this code to Spider or like what, PyCharm, and then do. Or if it is a Linux machine, you can run Jupyter Notebook automatically. But on Windows or Mac currently, you need to again write a wrapper on Jupyter Notebook or maybe few lines, or install any engine to run the Jupyter Notebook at a time. But here, if you see, we are running one cell at a time, which is very comfortable for us to learn and also implement while we are at a learning stage, and also in development stage when you are working in a company. But in production stage, all these lines should be working together as a single Python file, and you may have to convert this ipynb file. So Jupyter Notebook extension is basically .ipynb. So that file you will be converting into .py file in a simply like just click on file, then download as, and then you can see you'll have a extension.py, and you just download this, and all things comes together. So that is just nothing different from any IDE which you have seen so far. It is just for a more comfortable area to test and develop in initial stages. So that is why we use Jupyter Notebook. If you are comfortable with this, I can like what, guide you to like how to install this and run this on your machine. If not, if you want to continue back in Spider, we can just continue back in Spider. I have both the things today. Even I have Spider, so I'll be able to kind of feel you more connected towards the learning as well. So please
Yeah,
let
we
me know
can
if
use
you,
a spider.
yeah,
We can use a spider on this.
sure.
That is
Any other votes? Let's go with majority. I don't want to disappoint anyone.
For today, we can go with the spider, I guess.
Sure. That should be fine. Let me copy this. Let me paste it here. So hope you can see all the statements properly, the font size and style, everyone.
Yes, Andrew.
Yep, that's great. So yesterday we stopped at a point how to slice certain number of columns. So we have already seen that. Uh, Let me kind of enlarge this a bit. Give me 1 second.
Anup, the df, that variable that you have defined at the top,
Sorry.
the df variable that you have defined at the top,
Yes.
can you just explain that
Yeah, I'll
line?
recap everything. No
Yeah.
worries. I'll start from first. I am trying to kind of do a small change on my monitor. Can you see my spider in any way?
Yeah.
Great. So is that
Screen size got compressed.
screen size got compressed?
The window compressed.
Let me.
Earlier it was properly zoomed in before.
Now is it better?
It is the same.
Oh, how come this is happening? I'll just reshare my screen. Give me 1 second. It should be better now.
Yeah,
Hello?
it is. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is good.
Yep. So that's great. So I'll just also increase the console with like half of the place. Yeah, so we just stopped at a place where we were slicing the columns. So I'll just print this particular statement again to see what are all the columns we were having yesterday. So from starting from index here, we were having almost all some 10-15 columns. And you can see that we wanted to kind of slice the number of columns to only what we need. Something like I took an example of only 3 columns which I need, which is index, order ID, and date. And now I don't want to kind of delete the other columns, but I want to make a copy of the data frame and store it in a different variable. See, I can also do drop columns. There is a like list where you have used dot remove or maybe dot pop. So here also we have drop columns as syntax, which you can use to kind of drop the and like what not the columns which are not required. But here I don't want to remove the other columns because I may have to kind of create another copy of different columns for different use later in the code below. So that is the reason I'll keep this as my original file, like original variable, okay, or original data, something like that in DF. And whatever we are going to make down, or whatever the slicing we are doing, or whatever the copies we are creating, this small topic, or else I can explain you from scratch. No need to kind of hesitate to ask.
అది కాపీ చేసిన తర్వాత ఏంటి అంటే అది అక్కడ పెట్టేసిన తర్వాత ఒకసారి నీ సిస్టమ్ సి డ్రైవ్కి వెళ్ళి
If you are able to understand my term called coordinate space, I will continue. If not, I can explain that as well.
No, you can explain it, please.
Okay, let me explain that as well. So, so I hope no matter what, anybody have already seen such kind of figures in your school times, at least, or maybe in your college times. So this is a coordinate space, and as we have two dimensions, x and y, we call it as two-dimensional coordinate space. And if you have three axes like x, y, z together, then we call it as three-dimensional coordinate space. You can see an example here. So when you are referring to two-dimensional data, it is nothing but you are having a data in two different dimensions like x and y. So when you are referring to an Excel sheet, you have uh, columns in x-axis and rows in y-axis, and together it is a two-dimensional data. Even when you are referring to a matrix, you'll have you can see these points here. So now when you are dealing with a square, you will have points from 0 comma 0 to 2 comma 3. So these 2 points together will be in two-dimensional space, not in a one-dimensional space. So any object on the floor will be under two-dimensional space. So if it is a 3D object like cube or maybe any sphere or a cylindrical or a cylinder, that will be in three-dimensional coordinate space because it has height as the extra dimension like z-axis. So usually width and length are two axes you can refer to. And if you have depth or height of any object, then that object is kind of lying in three-dimensional space. So right now, as we are dealing with two-dimensional space here, like in Excel sheet, especially as I told you that we have columns in x-axis and rows in y-axis. So when we are dealing with slicing of the data, we have to always refer it as a part of two-dimensional space. You cannot refer it as one-dimensional space. So that is the reason we are taking two square braces or double square braces here so that it can slice the columns properly. If you give single square brace, it will throw you error saying that it is out of index or maybe such kind of error it will throw you. Let me show you. So you see, it says some key error. It is unable to identify the columns or all the stuff. So why? Because it is unable to kind of understand that we are referring to columns. Okay, so that is the reason. So when you kind of put two square braces, okay, or enclose with one more pair of square braces, open and close, it will probably throw you no error. Okay, and then we can print out the same variable which is df needed. Okay, and then see what is the output you might get. So you can see we will only have 3 columns. And seeing at this, is anybody seeing any difference or maybe something odd in this?
One column on the left side which is showing the number.
Sorry, you are not very audible.
There is one more column on the left side which is showing some numbers also along with the
Exactly.
index.
So what is happening here is Pandas itself is identifying that there are some 1,28,974 rows, and it is creating its own index. And even our Excel sheet has one more index, which is basically a serial number. Index is nothing but a serial number. And Pandas is actually printing one serial number on the extreme left, and our CSV sheet also has some index here. So where it is useful. So some kind of Excel sheets may not have this index column. So then you can directly create a default index for your data set by saying or simply adding a line called reset index. So let me do it here. Print df dot
Java 8 to
needed.
Java 21 అన్నాను అది చేసినా.
Oh, sorry. Df underscore needed dot reset index. Okay. So now when I run this, you can see now I have a different column level 0. Okay. And then one more index has been created. So nothing but, so when you don't have an index column in your data set, then you can use this particular syntax called reset index and add an index. And now you may ask me a question why we actually need an index. So when you want to kind of slice rows, especially, uh, you cannot actually give every row value like this and then say, okay, you slice this thing. You may only have, because every row has any n number of values, and you cannot actually write the values of every row. So now what you do, you kind of take the index of the row. Assume that I may only need last 5 rows. Then what I do, I'll say I want rows from uh, 1,28,970 to 974. So these 5 rows I need. So how do I do that? So I cannot basically give all these values as an input and then say it will be very odd for you also, and it will be very hard, like what manual effort. So that's the reason this indexing is always required, and this can also do one more help. So assume that if your index in your the index column in your data set has some missing values as well. Maybe it may start from 0, but it may miss some values in between, like null values it has, and it has continued the number. And now the number of records when you are counting will be different. Okay, so that is where what you can do, you can drop this column index and create your own column of index. So now let me kind of drop the index column and create my own index. So as we have two already, let me do one thing. Let me kind of remove index now and then show you that index has been removed. So simply what you can do is print df needed dot drop, and then in braces what column you want to drop, that is index, and then comma. Here a very interesting keyword comes, which is axis. I'll tell you what axis is. Okay, firstly I'll show you output and then come to axis. So axis 1, and then I also give one more statement called in place equals to true. I'll also explain you this as well, no need to worry. So let me run this. Okay, yes, okay, let me kind of save it in a different oh, okay, I can print it again, right? So let me do something. Let's not print it here. And then let's print df needed again here. Df needed. Yeah. Let me do these two things. Okay, it has already deleted. I'm trying to do it once again. And you can see now the index column has been deleted. Okay. Here also, okay, I'll first explain this line completely and go back. Now you might have noticed that level 0 of column which was there earlier has been also removed. Why? Because we haven't saved it, or we haven't said that the changes have to take place in df needed only. It only created some copy of this particular data frame and then showed us the output. Temporarily it showed us the output. So if you want to do it permanently, you always need this particular line or the keyword passed to every particular change you want to do, then and there itself to the same variable. So I'll repeat the statement again. Let's see this in action and then go back. So if you see here, okay, let me also not print it here. Let me print down. Yeah. So now you can see I have a index from 0 to whatever number, and I'll drop the index right now. Okay. You can see the index has been dropped in the output, and so the changes will only take place to the same variable when you have this keyword called in place equals to true. If not, the output only shows a temporary version of what you want to try or what you want to see, and then you can again add this keyword anytime you want. So this is only required if you want to kind of commit the change to that particular variable. If not, yeah, you can still use this to only print to see what you are expecting out of that. So please let me know if you want like a iterative explanation on in place equals to true. I'm happy to kind of take an example more and then teach you. This is little tricky to understand this keyword. Uh, I can wait for a couple of minutes to try on your own and then see what is happening. Just take these two lines, 18, 19, and print both without in place equals to true and with in place equals to true. Then you will be able to identify what is the difference between both the print statements you have did. So it is better to see it in action. I strongly suggest you to kind of try it by on your own. I can wait for a minute.
Basically, it is cementing the actions that you have written, right?
Sorry, I am unable to
Basically,
understand.
it is cementing the actions that are passed on. If we don't write it, then it will just temporarily show us and again take the original data and work on
Exactly.
it.
You are absolutely right. So, guys, this is what the understanding which I was expecting from you. Others you can try, and I am happy to reiterate my explanation if someone needs to kind of elaborate here. I'm taking silence as no. And meanwhile, we also have seen how to drop the columns. And now I'm coming to the point what is axis equals to 1. So as we already have discussed that this is a two-dimensional data. So data towards right from the beginning point towards right to the column side will be axis 1, and the data towards down from 0 to 1,28,974 will be axis 0. So assume that if you want to drop any columns in rows, then you will take axis 0 and you will not give column name. Sorry, you cannot give row name. Instead, you will give row index. But when you want to delete column completely, then you will use the column name here as an argument and then axis 1 because you are letting it know where to search. You can also do it in a different way, which I will teach you the alternative way. But always using this notation is a better practice because you are directing it where to search. So the time taken to search the column will be less. So there is another alternative method which we can use. So what happens if we use that? That doesn't need axis equals to one argument, but the problem is it will try to search that in the whole data frame. So then the time to search it in the whole data frame will be more. So that is the reason you have to always use axis equals to 1 or 0 as a better practice when you are dealing with pandas or when you are kind of dealing with dropping rows or columns. Is it clear?
Axis equal to 0 is reading, it is going towards the right or
It will go towards down. So I'll just show
down.
you in the coordinate space. So assume that, let me take an example. Uh, this should be fine. So assume that only we have data like the first quadrant here. This is our data, and we have columns here on the top. Okay, so our axis equals to 1 will be starting from here and goes towards right, and axis equals to 0 will start from here and goes towards down, because this is the way the Excel sheet will be ordered, right? So the columns will be ordered from left to right, and the rows will be ordered from top to bottom. So that is the uh, notation taken even in pandas. So I'll just show you here itself. Like pandas axis. So images. Yeah, you can see it here. So axis 1 towards right and axis 0 towards down. Is it clear?
Okay, so when we write that keyword index and we mention axis 1, so it will go towards the right
Right. Then check the
and
column
remove,
name
yeah,
and drop.
and search for the word index and then remove that.
Yes. So now we can also see one more example to drop the first row. So to drop the first row, you can also use axis 0, but it is not really required because by default, Pandas thinks that when you are trying to delete something with index number instead of string, it will think that you are dropping row itself. Something like df needed dot drop, okay, 0, comma, in place true. And then I'll also print our df needed again. So now let me just run these two statements. So you can see here the first 0th index row has been removed. So here you can see 0th index row we have some data, and in the next the next print statement doesn't have the 0th index. So now as I told, so when you are trying to drop rows, so you need not explicitly say pandas, okay, I'm dropping rows, like by giving x equals 0. That is still allowed. It doesn't do any harm, but it is not required, and you can just shorten the statement with what you are writing. And you can simply give what index you want to kind of delete, and then simply delete. And I kind of recommend you to do it by yourself parallelly along with me so that you can ask me any doubts if you have.
ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఫైల్స్ లో వచ్చిందా దీనిలో వచ్చిందా అది బ్యాక్ అంటే ఓఎస్
I'm taking silence as no. And I was just wondered that nobody have asked me a doubt how to delete multiple columns or how to delete multiple rows. So can anyone try on their own to check how to delete multiple columns or like what multiple rows? It is as simple as like what doing it in list, but you might have to think in terms of your earlier classes as well, not only what we have discussed in pandas. So I can assume that you might have already like what referred or maybe learned this slicing in list, or maybe how to kind of separate a range of values from the list and then save it in a different variable, or maybe kind of or you slice a string as well. So assume you have hello world and you only want hello. So how do you get hello only? Very simple, like the same notation you use here. You just start with list, then from 0 to, okay, you want from 1 to maybe 5 rows to be deleted. I can just run this again. Okay, so it says a thing. So I'll just add explicitly that what has to be deleted. Df dot index, df needed dot index. Let me run this and just check. Yeah, you can see that from 1 to 5 has been deleted, like from, so here, and you can run and check. As well as when you want to delete multiple columns as well, you can only pass on the list here. I want to delete index, comma, order ID as well. Okay, and then I'll just simply pass it on as a list and then kind of run it. Oh, sorry, I've already dropped the index, so let me delete some other column. Or maybe let me just run everything together so it will work again. Oh, order ID is this. Okay, sorry, my bad. Order ID is this. Yeah. So let me run it here again, especially this section, and just check. Yeah, you can see that we only have level 0 and date this time. We don't have index or order ID. So we have deleted two columns together, index and order ID at once.
ఆ తర్వాత ఒకటో గ్యాప్ ఇచ్చి మళ్ళీ ఉన్నది ఎందుకంటే ఇది మామూలు కొంచెం లేట్గా వచ్చింది సార్ వాళ్ళు మార్చి
And I can wait or pause a minute after every couple of syntaxes which we learn, so that you can try and let me know if you see any, or if you see anything odd, or maybe if some error persists when you are running it.
In the 22nd line of the
Yes.
code, you have mentioned the code to remove 5 rows.
From 1 to 5, nothing but 1,
1 to
2,
5,
3, 4. 4 rows will be removed. From 5th index, it will be available.
No, but in this case, in the code that we wrote to remove the top row, we did not mention that df underscore index. We just mentioned
So
the
when
rows.
you are passing one single index, okay, maybe you want to only delete one row, you need not especially say df needed dot index and then delete 0. You can do that as well. That will even work. That is not wrong. But that can be only used when you have a range of slicing to be removed. There is other method as well. We call it as masking. I will also teach you that like later. I
No,
want to
but
just go with simple methods.
in this line of code, why did we, like, for removing of the columns, the code was to mention index in that
Yeah, list. We are actually, see, what we are trying to do is we are saying just check for index column in the data set, and then in index column take the slice, slice the rows from 1 to 5. Nothing but 5 will be like, you know how indexing works in Python, right? So 1 to 5, nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4 will be the 4 rows will be selected, and as we are saying to drop, it will drop that only. And in here in this line, we did not say from where to delete, because these are not a part of one single column. The rows can be part of one single column, but the columns are different. And we are explicitly saying where to identify these, like in axis 1. But here we are not saying you go in axis 0. So that is the reason we are saying go in the column called index, select the rows from 1 to 5, like 1 to 4. 5 is exclusive, and then delete that. So if you want to delete until 5, then you put 5 plus 1, which is 6. So that is how indexing works in Python. Like 0 to 6 as well, it will start from 0 to 5. That is even fine. And I can run and check this. So you can see from 0 to 5 rows have been deleted from this data set, and you can only see the data from 6.
But this data does not have that index. Okay, that level 0 it is calculating at index.
No. So what exactly happens is when you say df needed.index, okay, in pandas, it will directly refer to this particular line, like the extreme left line, which has no column name. So even though you have a column named index in your dataset, that will not refer that, because pandas assumes that this particular column is its self-index column. So it will take the numbers from here, from the extreme left column, not in any of those. Is this clear? I can just jump into one more concept called how to kind of filter data. So now you have a lot. I'll just comment this completely. Let me just kind of comment. So what is command 1? Okay, so command 1. So I'll just comment this. So let's play with, let's create a different variable, which is df filter is equals to df of, we may only need a few columns, or let's take the whole thing. Now let's play with df itself, data frame itself. Okay, so now what I want to have is, maybe I want to identify, or I want to kind of only get the data of shipped items. So if you, I just to recall our data set, we have these all columns in our data set, and in this we have a courier status column which says whether the whether the shipment has been shipped, cancelled, or unshipped, or some blank. We also have null values. So now what I'm saying, I want to only have the data which where the data have been shipped already. Okay, so how do you filter that? So now we have to do something in pandas. We can simply do that in Excel, right? We can just do like what, create a filter on this courier status column, and then only select out of unique values. You'll only find like what shipped as a option, and then simply select that. Let us see that in action in Excel so that it'll be clear what we are trying to do. So this was our Excel sheet. Uh, yeah, this was our Excel sheet yesterday. Let me zoom in a little. Hope you can see it better. So now what we are trying to do. So now what I said, what I want to filter out the data only where the courier status have been shipped. So now usually in Excel, I come here, I select the drop down, unmark the select all option and select only the shipped option and leave it. So this will be the data of only shipped items. So now I want to count, or maybe I want to check the amount of only shipped items. So now how do I do that? That is what I am trying to do. Okay, so this thing, let's do it in pandas right now. So let me kind of do it here. Let me also comment this as well. And then now you do in df of, so what is that column name? It was courier status. So let me copy the column name from here, courier status. So courier, oh sorry, this is what I want to copy, courier status. I said that I want courier status equals to shipped, right? So let me just write shipped. Syntax is a bit different. Okay, no need to worry. I'm just trying to kind of write it in a format where you understand, and then we jump into the like what the additional things to make it work in pandas. So now df courier status equals to shipped. This is what the condition which we need. So now what I want to do is I want to slice this data. I want to slice shipped data or create a copy of shipped data from our original data frame into a different data frame, or maybe I want to create a sub data frame of shipped data from our entire data frame. So I'll just create a different variable called df shipped, shipped equals to df courier status equals to shipped. So now you see there is something odd. So you have two equals to here, and you cannot actually slice like this. You need to do something else. So you need to say specifically you need to create a sub. You kind of slice sub part of entire df. So in mathematical notation we can simply write, maybe you can just take it in brackets and then say df minus and this, but it doesn't work like this in pandas. So now I have my entire data frame like df, and this is my sub data frame which I want to delete, and basically I want to do something like this operation so that it works as expected. So what else you need to do in pandas is that you need to kind of add a square braces here, extra square brace, and just close the square brace here. This says that you are trying to slice this particular section or this particular conditional statement from the entire data frame. Okay, so how exactly it works is, now we have already seen the true or false section here. So what exactly this will do is, when you actually run this particular statement, it will apply masking. Masking nothing but it will say true or false for every column in courier status. So wherever it is shipped, it will put true, and wherever it is not shipped, it will put false. And then when you say df of this particular line, it will only extract the true values from that column and then save it in df shipped. So let us then kind of print df shipped and then check if we are doing it right. Yeah, so you can see that like what there is an error. So what is the error? So in all the conditional statements in Python, wherever you are using if condition or any other conditions, you have to always use double equals to, because single equals to is an assignment operator in Python. Double equals to is a equality operator. So it will check the equality. So now let's run it again. So you can see that way. Okay, it is not showing the entire data frame. Let us check. Okay, the shipped column has been like what submerged in this ellipsis. So probably the data what we are referring here or what we are printing here is basically only shipped data. You can cross check if you want with this line. And we can also like what apply multiple conditions, maybe like courier status equals to shipped, and then order date equal to some order date, and then we have to say if it is a business to business or business to customer. Something like Amazon will also sell to business partners. So Amazon Basics, whatever the items you actually purchase, can be purchased between both the parties. One is individual customer and other is a business guy. Maybe if someone wants to purchase in bulk quantity like 1,000 or 10,000 or 20,000, so quantity, and those are called small businesses who will be purchasing from like from Amazon. And if I am purchasing the same thing in one or two quantity, whatever the item it is, then I will be called as a like what B2C, nothing but Amazon will be business and I'll be customer. So it will be a direct contact that I'm purchasing from Amazon. B2B is nothing but business is selling to another business. So that is what the difference. So I may actually say that, okay, how much quantity has been uh, shipped to a business, okay, on particular date, then you have to apply three different filters. I'll teach you how to apply three different filters. But right now, I am hoping that this particular section, you were able to kind of run it and check. Is this clear?
Yeah.
And now, as an add-on thing here, no need to worry about uh, some add-ons which I'm doing. If you don't want to do such way, there is an alternative way, more simpler. I am just trying to put everything in one line. So right now, earlier we have already seen that we were able to slice only few columns. Here also, I want to slice only few columns because this all data is not required for me. I only want date, B2B, shipped, and quantity maybe. So what I do, so basically I can just open a different like what square braces here, and then take those four columns. So where were our columns? Yeah, here we have columns. So we need date as our first column, and then we need courier status, quantity. I'll just copy that here. And then we need whether it is B2B or not. So we have a column called B2B here. Okay, and then we just put it here. B2B, and sorry, let me remove the extra quotations. So now when I run this, so probably now you will be surprised what it says. Okay, let me just run it again. Yeah, you can see that we have sliced and also applied condition in one single line. So even I missed that double square braces, forgot that it is a two-dimensional data. And you can see that I have applied a condition called shipped, and you can see all the status shipped rows are have been extracted. And you can also see that there are some indexes missing here. The 0th index has been missing, third index is missing, or nothing but 0th row is missing, third row is missing, and some other rows have been also missing where the status is maybe cancelled, null, or other condition if it has. And you can also see that we were able to slice between only four columns which we need, and we are not using any other column. So this thing we can do, and we can also apply multiple conditions in the same line. Once you kind of run this and check uh, the output, I can take a next step. And please stop me. Don't hesitate if you don't understand, or maybe it is maybe if I'm just covering it in a very short period, I can elaborate anywhere if you want to uh, pitch in more.
Yeah, we can continue.
పడుకుందామా?
Yeah. So that's great. So what we can do right now is let's change the same line, or maybe let me copy these both and then just put it here. And then here I want to apply the other condition as well, saying that I want to only have the data or from maybe 30th April 2022, and then I want only business uh, purchases, like where B2B is true. That is what I need. So what I'll do, I'll probably close this in parenthesis, or the like what the normal braces, and then put a AND operator. I think you already know what is this AND operator. So we can open one more parenthesis here and then write the second filter what you want to do or what you want to apply on this. So I want date to be equal to 04 30 2020, sorry, 2022, yes. And then I'll just put one more AND operator, and then I say df of p2b is equals to true. So now when I do this, so probably let me just kind of let it, yeah. So yes, here. So when you do this, so what exactly happens? Let's check if it is correct. Oh, it did not print anything, I guess. Empty data frame. Let us check why it is empty data frame. Maybe some condition is not satisfying here. Okay, let us remove one condition and check if it is our mistake. Yeah, we have the data for only 2022, and then I said we need, let us do a command Z, and then okay, there might be a small space here. Let's check by applying space. Oh, it's still not there. Okay, why it is not there? Let us go to the Excel sheet, check the column. Yeah, it is correct. And there is no spacing. It should be working. Oh, sorry. I was writing in small letters because the string is not matching with small letters. I need to write capital letters. That is what the mistake I was doing. Nobody pointed it out. Is it boring today?
Oh, not really.
Oh, even it is still showing an empty data frame. Why? Let us check one more with one more space. Even still empty. Let us check if there is data for B2B true for 30 April 2022. Date, yeah, date is here. Let's select 30th April 2022. Oh, we do have data. We have shipped, we have true on B2B. So then why it is not giving? Am I doing it correct? Equals to true. B2B is correct. So there is no spacing. So what?
The date thing that you have mentioned, should that be in braces?
Sorry?
The date, 30th April that you mentioned, should
No,
that
it
be
is
in braces?
correct. This is one condition. The second condition in parenthesis, and third condition is also in parenthesis. That's correct. So where is the issue?
Quantity?
No,
You have to
like
also the quantity then?
no. It is correct. The statement is correct. I don't know why it is not printing the output. That is the only worry. It is saying empty data frame, but we do have data here for, let's check, cross check again. 30, 2022, then shipped. Okay, so we have some, okay, shipped, courier status shipped. Okay, then we have B2B is true. Okay, let us check with false and then also see if it is working. Fine, false. It is still saying empty data frame. I don't know. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's kind of close this in one parenthesis and then apply this thing. It is not really required, but I'm just checking an another basis. It is still empty. There might be some issue. I'll debug later, but this should work as expected. If it is working for these two, then it should be working for everything else as well. Let me apply this in the front. But order does not should not make any difference. Uh, yeah, it is still showing the empty data frame, which should not be showing us.
Date is a numerical, na? Why we are taking
No,
colon?
as we already saw earlier, let me print this. Uh, So you can see date column is an object. Object is nothing but it has mixed data types. Some dates might be dates, some dates might be strings and so on. So we are assuming it as completely string and then we are only taking that. Even if you kind of, I am assuming that there is a problem with B2B flag itself, because if you don't apply B2B flag and run this particular statement, you are able to see the data for 4th April 20, sorry, 30th April 2022, all the shipped status, and even you are able to see B2B also, whether false and true. I was actually further filtering out with B2B only true, which is showing an empty data frame. I am not sure why. That is what I am worried about. We have
What is
241.
the data type of B2B?
B2B is a Boolean data type. If I'm not wrong, let us check. Yeah, B2B is a
Can we
Boolean
just
data type.
do 0 or 1 and
No, I don't think that is required.
we can check?
అట్లనే
Yeah.
పర్లేదు ఎందుకంటే అట్లీస్ట్ వాళ్ళకి ఎట్లా లోడ్ చేయాలి యాప్ ఎట్లా లోడ్ చేయాలని తెలుస్తుంది వాళ్ళకి ఆల్రెడీ యాప్ అంతా రెడీ ఉంది లోడ్ చేసి చూస్తే అంతే లోడ్ చేసి చూపిస్తే ఇంకా నంబర్ ఇస్తే నేను వాళ్ళ ఈ నెంబర్ వాళ్ళకి ఇచ్చేస్తాను
And let us do something
It
like
being Boolean variable, do we need to really check double equal to true
ఆ లోకల్ నెంబర్
and we
that
directly
is,
say
we can do it in an alternate method, but this should also work. It is one and the same. It is nothing different in like that. Let us check in another way. So what I do, I'll say and B2B. This time I'll just apply a negate op like negation operator, which says just not. Okay,
not
and then let's try. Okay. Yeah, now you see it is saying when I say not true, it is only printing all the false things. I can also do only like remove that negate operator, and you can see it only prints true. This is fine. I absolutely kind of get it, but I wanted to check why it is not working for true. I'll debug and just give you the reason if why it is not working. But usually it works in PyCharm or in other IDs. I don't think this is a problem of Spider itself. Maybe in newer versions of Python some syntax has been changed. The newer version of pandas syntax has been changed. So you people can follow this for now, and I'll give you the reason behind why it was not working earlier. Later, I'll debug that. So this is the way we can kind of apply filters on different columns together in one statement. And there is also one other method which you can do completely different. something like I'll do, there is a syntax called df dot query. So once you kind of learn SQL, this syntax more like what helps more. So how exactly it works is you can actually apply the SQL statement inside the pandas syntax. So assume that let us take the same example, that courier status equals to shipped. So now what you can simply do, you can write a string saying that courier status, or maybe let's take date, just only date for an example, and just I'll apply date here, and then say date equals to, and then sorry, I need not need this, and even not this. So 04/30/2022, and then close this, and then just print it. Oh, it is assuming that as a string. This should not be the case as well. Let me take this and then run. You can see that it only took the data of this particular date, and we can also apply the other filters which we have applied earlier with simply an AND operator here. We are writing in English. Please note that instead of using an AND operator, we are using AND statement itself, and then I can now write, maybe I'll take maybe a different column. Let's take any other column and then check. So we do have what columns we have. Yeah, we have fulfilled by column. Let's take this column, fulfilled by, just to kind of differentiate the example. Okay, and then say fulfilled by equals to, and then what values we have in fulfilled by. Yeah, easy ship or any others. Let us take easy ship for now, and then paste it here, and then run this. Oh,
The fulfill by does not have that.
let us do something like this. It should not usually assume it as
It
uh,
should be single quote.
post.
Single quote.
No, because we are enclosing with single quote here, we cannot use single quotes inside. You should always use double quotes only. So yesterday, you were actually asking me why we have to use underscore in file names or maybe like that. So now you can see why we actually need to always take care about the column names or file names, because it is assuming that fulfilled is only the name. It doesn't know this character or maybe the by. Okay, so that is the reason it is throwing error. So if I can take any other like what column which has no such things, like maybe status. Let me take status, and this will not throw any error. So let me take status and then remove this thing, and then only say shipped items I need. Okay, then run this. What is okay? Shipped. This is the mistake. 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, you can see I only got shipped items. Unfortunately, you are seeing all the data here. I can also slice the data again with single thing here itself. Let me run this again. Yeah, you can see. So it is again printing the same thing. So I am saying status equal to shipped, but still I am taking courier status. It's one and the same. You can even remove courier status and only take status as column. So if your column names has no cryptic characters or no special characters separating them, you can always use df.query, or you can simply rename them and add a underscore to your data. So you can also do that with like what pandas itself. So you have a syntax called rename columns. Okay, so, and then do all your differences, like you do rename all your columns together. So let me take an example of that as well. So let us change courier status to courier underscore status. So let me write that thing, df dot rename, and then inside just say what you are trying to rename. Those are columns. Then inside columns, you will just write what is the old name of the column, which is, oh sorry, it is a dictionary. Yeah. So take the old name of the column and then assign a new name. So this is my old name of the column, and then I'll be assigning a new name separated by colon, saying that I just want C status. Okay, and then I'll simply say comma in place equals to true, and then I'll probably only slice these columns, or maybe let me just print here. As we are using df.rename, it returns none. So let me run this, and it has been replaced. And now when you kind of try to check this particular column here, let me try to slice it with this column, and you can see this column is not an index. Why? Because this particular column has been renamed. We can check that with df.columns. Now just print df.columns. Now you can see courier status has been replaced with C status. So now I can use C status as my name and replace this here, and then print, and you can see the output as usual. So I have done nothing very great. I have only shown you a couple of more syntaxes today. How can you column slice? How can you row slice? How can you kind of apply filters, one filter and multiple filters together, and also apply the slice column with along with the filters in the same line. As well as we have also seen one other way of slicing data using df.query, and also we have seen how to drop columns, how to rename columns, and how to also reset index if you don't have an index, and how to drop index if you have an index. So all these topics have been seen today. Please let me know uh, if you have any doubts. So it's already 10:20. So yesterday also I kind of taught you over time. So I can stop here today, and we can go with a couple of other examples tomorrow with aggregations and pivot conditions and joins. So these three are remaining things in pandas. So I am not going into every small syntax. There are n number of syntaxes in pandas. So I can see that close to there are 1,000 methods in pandas which you can use in your daily life. So I am going through very required interview based and work based syntaxes only. And the three remaining syntaxes which will come is how to aggregate the like what, assume that yesterday we have seen some example like how to sum the values of quantity or maybe amount using pivot function in Excel. We will see the same thing in pandas as well, and we can see both the ways, like without using pivot and using pivot. Both the things we'll see tomorrow, and we'll see a syntax called merge, like how to join two different data sets. Assume that you have now Amazon data set and you have Walmart data set with the same columns, and now you want to kind of add them both together, maybe left join, right join, or maybe union, or maybe append both the things together. Maybe that particular syntax makes more sense when you kind of learn SQL. You will be able to easily understand. But I'll kind of uh, uh, just explain you on the top level and then leave it. Once we like what that once we are done with SQL, maybe if we can have one capstone project, we can also include that particular concept of how to merge data with like what pandas syntax called merge, so that we can see. And these are the three different things which are remaining in pandas, which are very useful and very much needed, that we can cover tomorrow. And I can give you resource where you can learn other syntaxes or explore, and I'm happy to answer any doubts if you have. You can drop any doubts in group, and mostly like post 8 p.m. I'll be able to answer. Before that, I may not be able to reply in time. I can stop it here for today, guys. Please let me know if you have any doubts.
No doubts as such.
I can wait for a couple of minutes. Please think, recap, and let me know.
We just need to be more familiar with the syntaxes. That's all I think.
Yeah.
Nothing
So
more than that.
Until unless you practice, these all things will be cryptic on the first day. So I strongly recommend you to kind of practice at least 1 to 2 times to see where you are doing small mistakes, like where the square braces are enclosing, where parentheses are enclosing in between and operators. And if you don't put these parentheses between and operators, it will throw you error. Just to kind of show you that here, you can see that there is some key error. It is unable to kind of identify something. Oh, sorry. Let me just replace it with C status. That is what we have replaced. And then let's still check. It will throw basically error if you don't have this parenthesis. Let me show you that. Yeah, you can see cannot perform rand with D type object. And so some logical error it is showing, saying that it cannot kind of perform this operation. But when you kind of apply the parenthesis on like what both, it will not throw you any error basically. So that is what I wanted to kind of. So these are all very small things which I may also even miss in my daily life. Okay, so just please uh, practice 1 or 2 times so that you don't have such confusion or issue. Yeah, you can see it is now the output is in place. And I don't know if we are covering matplot library or Seaborn as well, which will make which will make more sense where we are using pandas. So I'll try to cover pandas, and I'll see if I can cover matplot library as well later.
Yes, Anrup. Actually, I want you to take Matplotlib also, but I'm thinking that once we finish the statistics, right, then
Yes,
it makes more sense with the visualization and all.
yes,
So
you are right.
So then after this, we'll start with the SQL. Actually, SQL is not at all like discussed so far. So we will take up that one, and that also we are not going too much depth, but at least DB creation, from the DB to how the columns are built, and then and so on, and then
Understood.
how we are querying, because once we start using the pandas or other tools, SQL or SQL looks little even tougher actually, when because those things, whatever we are doing in SQL operations, right, so those large operations can be done very quickly here, right? So,
Yes.
but what is happened, and what because most of the systems are built on the SQL DBs or something like that, right? So people should know in a real-time environment, SQL also equally important actually.
Yes.
Then they need to pull the data to this side and then do the analysis or anything. But anyways, whichever the data is in the form, it could be data warehouse or big data or anything, right? At the end of the day, it will be denomination of the SQL only again. Whatever we
Yes.
are selecting some piece of the data here or there, right? All things are like derived from the base root is the SQL only. But for that purpose, we'll learn SQL to some extent, and general basics and all, and then we'll come back to the statistics, and then the revising this part like Matplotlib and Seaborn, and then we'll jump to the Power BI. That is the flow now.
Sure. That's a good flow, Sri Krishna. That's great to kind of elaborate.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
maybe somewhere if you can loop in a bit of NumPy would also help.
Yeah.
So that just one
Yeah.
class just to kind of let them understand this, uh, like working with multidimensional data, which I think today they might have confused a little when I was talking about braces, especially. And covering NumPy would help them understand that particular part. Like one class only to deal with matrices, especially or two-dimensional data. Until that.
Yeah. Please, that we will tomorrow. Is it possible to cover that in the?
Yeah, once in the remaining syntaxes, if we can cover tomorrow, like within half an hour, first half an hour, then remaining like 10-15 minutes, I'll cover for NumPy as well. That is completely possible with the schedule tomorrow. Let's see how it goes. I'm trying to go a little slow to make people follow me. So that's so, or else I would have finished the remaining 3 syntaxes today itself.
Oh,
So
okay, no problem,
yeah,
Yeah. Anyways, tomorrow we'll take up that one and we'll bring a
great.
closer, and then we'll go with the sequel, and then that is the flow. Okay.
Sure, got it. Thank you so much, guys. Please let me know if you still have any doubts.
We'll practice it and we'll let you know if any doubts.
Sure. Thank you so much. So we can drop for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Bye.
you all. Bye bye.